Counting backwards from 100, it's the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. The podcast that wants to grow up to be president. He tried to set ants on fire with a magnifying glass last night. It's Medicare expert Doug Jones.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I assume it's morning wherever you're listening to this. I am Doug Jones, your Medicare expert, and I'm here to present you with another episode of the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast. If you're thinking seriously about an encounter with Medicare, maybe that time is sneaking up for you, then you could do much worse than hang around with us here at the Medicare for the Lazy Man podcast, because I think we can help you understand Medicare just a little bit better than other sources might be providing for you. So come on along with us. The first stop I would suggest is on our tour of Medicare would be at Amazon.com. And this would be to select your guidebook. And I would prefer that you select the guidebook entitled Medicare for the Lazy Man 2026. That's the book that's going to, from start to finish, explain Medicare, tell you what's good about Medicare, what's not so good about Medicare, and how to avoid making a Medicare mistake, how to ensure that you always have the maximum amount of freedom of choice of doctors and hospitals, the minimum amount of out-of-pocket cost and risk of cost sharing, so that ultimately your Medicare experience is as pleasant and fulfilling as it's possible to be. And when you compare what can be created in Medicare with what has been created for people that are not yet Medicare age, you will find that you have the world is your oyster. All the options will rely on your good sense, and you can have a beautiful Medicare experience, at least the way Medicare is constructed right now. That's the goal I have, is to help everybody avoid the Medicare mistakes that are too evident, the roadblocks that get thrown in your way by greedy, unprincipled people in the Medicare industry can be avoided. And if you listen to me, you will avoid them. Now, that is the primary book, Medicare for the Lazy Man 2026. There is also a second book that is designed just to guide you through the enrollment process. Ironically, the title of that book is Medicare Enrollment Guide. Now, that book can be purchased for a very reasonable price on Amazon.com. But if you want to come to the website of this podcast, which is www.medicareforthelazyman.com. You scroll down just a little bit from the landing page, and you're going to find a free link. You can download Medicare Enrollment Guide free of charge. And that is what I suggest that you do, because, frankly, I want the Medicare Enrollment Guide to be accessible to everybody who is considering enrollment in Medicare. The reason for that is it's the short version of all of the information that's packed into Medicare for the Lazy Man 2026. It is the most powerful book in Medicare because in 20 pages, it is everything you need to know about enrolling in Medicare and avoiding errors. So if your time is valuable and you don't have enough time to sit down and read a Medicare book that might be 85 pages of information, then what you want to do is get Medicare Enrollment Guide, which is the quickest, most powerful book in Medicare, and that will lead you right where you want to go in the shortest path possible to get there. Speaking of short paths, Randy Carson is a guy who's created a short path to Guinness. Every time I see him, he's on his way to a place that serves Guinness, and that seems to be a lot of his modus operandi. So I want to say hello to Randy before he gets his head stuck in a beer bottle. Randy?
Good morning, Mr. Jones.
What do you think about this weather we're having lately?
Oh my! It's interesting that you brought that up because Certainly, we're not having to deal with this because I'm looking at my ever handy thermometer on my desk, and we're sitting right at 65 degrees, and I know that sounds pretty good to most people in the world, but I had a topic today that I'm going to play Stump the Insurance Expert with.
Oh boy, that always ladies and gentlemen, it's just not as much fun getting stumped as it sounds like.
Yeah,
So,
and you know what it's going to be?
oh yeah, it's going to be something that I don't know anything about. I'm pretty
It's
sure.
going to be related to snow.
Oh well, okay, I do know something about snow.
All right, so I am going to switch over to my research desk here, and I'm going to ask you several questions about snow. And the first one is that there's a native group of people that are part of the United States, and they're experts on snow. And
Yeah.
who are they? Who are they?
Well, they would be the Eskimos, except we're not allowed to call them that anymore. So now
No,
we have to call them Inuit.
we're going to call them Inuits today, or Eskimos, people from Eskimo, or
Yep.
Alaska, or for Eskimo, the people from, oh, yeah, no, they're Inuits. But anyway,
Yep.
so I'm going to ask you several questions, and you're going to love these questions because I know that you know these. So,
Okay.
because the Inuits live in the snow and they're experts on the snow and what to do with the snow and what not to do with the snow,
Uh-huh.
so the English language basically has very few ways to refer to snow other
Sure.
than snow.
Because we don't really enjoy talking about it that much.
You got it. Well, the Inuits have at least 8 terms for snow, and obviously they're used in different circumstances, and there may be more than 8, but I'm going to give you a term, and I'm going to say the meaning of the snow. I'm going to say the Inuit term, and then I want you to tell me what that means.
All right. Let's I'm going to dredge up my Inuit language or my Eskimo. I call them Eskimo because I'm not politically correct, but I'm going to say I somewhere down inside my brain I've heard their words for snow. So lay it on me.
All right. The word is appet or aput,
Okay.
A-P-U-T. I'm going to say appet. Let's call it appet. If somebody's a native speaker, write us and let us know. But for right now, I'm going to say appet, A-P-U-T. What is that
Boy.
term and what does it mean as related to snow?
Oh boy. Well, I know that there are many, many terms for snow. I think there are more than 8. I think they've got a whole bunch of them because there are various nuances, but there are nuances for snow that's dry and you can't pack it. You couldn't make a snowman out of it very easily. There's snow that's wet and heavy, and that would call for a different term. I can't tell you what that appet term refers to. I'm sure there's a definition that you're going to tell me. And once again, I'm going to get that buzzer that hurts everybody's ears that indicates that I have totally failed to answer the question.
Well, take a guess.
Okay, I'm going to say it's for snow that's cold. How's that?
Well, that was close. Not really, but I'm going to
Yeah, of course not.
the definition is it's just snow on the ground.
Oh, okay. Now see, I didn't think that would. That's too general. I think these Eskimos want to have a more descriptive term. It's snow on the ground that you can pull your sled through, or your dog sled, or snow on the ground that maybe is difficult to get through. They
Okay,
would
well
have two
here's
different terms for that.
we're going to keep after this until you get one.
No, that's going to take hours. Ladies and
So,
gentlemen, you might want to take a break right now.
PIRTA, Pirta, PIRTA. What is that?
Okay, I have to tell you that my knowledge of Inuit or Eskimo society and language comes mostly from reruns of Alaska PD, where they follow the Alaskan State Police into troubled areas, a lot of which is caused by drunken Indians. I got to tell you, those people cannot hold their liquor. So when Randy says a word, it's very likely to be a word that I've heard coming out of an Indian who is about ready to fight everybody that's in the neighborhood because he's had a little too much firewater. But I cannot give you the definition of that particular term.
PIRTA, PIRTA means a blizzard.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Okay, now listen carefully. We'll give you one more question and then because I'm going to give you several clues when I ask this question. We're going to fall down to the end of the list and we're going to pick up the term kana. What is kana?
Oh, that's an easy one. Come on, Randy. Is that all the harder your questions get? Well, that is snow that is less than white. It's bluish snow.
Well, that could be, but we fell down to the end of the list to pick up that term, and now we're going to fall down there and pick up that term again. What do you suppose kana means?
Well, I explained. I thought it was snow that was not the normal white color, but it actually has a bluish tint to it when the light shines through it.
No, it would be falling snow.
Oh, well, darn it. Okay. You've had my
Well,
best guess, and of
I,
course it
I, I,
fell short.
I've tried desperately to get you to win the $50 prize, but maybe next time.
Oh, well, that's one elusive prize. I will tell you, here's a little prize for those of you who like to watch risque activities. There is a silent film that was filmed in, I think, the 1920s, and it's called NANOOK of the North. And we ran across that not too awful long ago, and I said, you know something, we've never seen this thing. I've always heard the term NANOOK of the North. Let's watch this 1920s silent movie and see if there's anything worthwhile in it. And so it is all about an Eskimo named Nanook and his extended family, and some guy followed them around, and they just did all their Eskimo stuff, built igloos and stuff like that. But in the middle, or maybe towards the end of the film, you get to see some very scantily clad Eskimo ladies. And when I say
Really?
scantily clad, I mean almost unclad completely. So if your goal in life is to see what Eskimo ladies look like without their clothes on, without their mucklucks, then Nanook of the North has that scene available for you.
Were they blue?
No, they were inside an igloo.
Okay, that's good because outside the igloo, that would have been a bad idea.
Yep. That wouldn't. I bet they would have been fully bundled up at that point.
Yes, absolutely. Now I'm going to tell you one quick story.
Alrighty.
Do you know why, coats and things that Inuits and Eskimos made always had fur, a big bundle of fur right around their face?
Well, my guess is that they were made out of dead animals, and that's just where the fur wound up when they created
Well, yes and no, but the reason the fur was, wrapped around their face, like on the hood, it kept frost from forming on their face.
Oh, well, okay, that makes perfect sense. If you had asked me that, that probably would have been my guess, and then I wouldn't have looked so stupid. So, thank
Well,
you.
we're gonna work on that next time.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. Well, I've got a quiz waiting for you. It's buried in this stack of stuff somewhere. And,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is good. This is
it,
going to be a tough one. I'm telling. He always pulls out the tough ones.
if we get down to it today, then you'll understand the term "turnabout is fair play." But
Yes.
let's move on. Frankly, I'm less well organized than I should be, but I celebrated a birthday recently. Randy went nuts because he knows now I'm legit, I'm legal. I can go into any liquor store in the land and walk out with the product that he loves the best, Guinness. But I sent him a photograph of my recent activities. The content curator has the unfortunate history in her family of eye problems. And over the years, she's developed macular degeneration, glaucoma, and more recently, cataracts. And so we've been dealing with the eye surgery and the eye treatment that is resulting from these diseases and the treatments that need to be used to fight them to try to retain her vision. And frankly, her vision is very compromised because she's had recent surgery in both eyes, and it takes up to 2 months, they say, to recover. In the meantime, what do? I'm the medication wrangler. And I don't know why everybody going through this process doesn't have somebody that follows them around all day long, but I have to keep track of eye drops. Now, when I talked to this about Randy said, "Oh yeah, I had I had cataract surgery years ago. Piece of cake. I see better than ever. It's a wonderful thing." Well, that's not the whole story. If it was the whole story for Randy, then things have changed since he went through it because the story is completely different now. And I sent Randy a picture of all of the eye drops that she has been prescribed, and it's a collection of at least 15. Now, what they do with these eye drops is each bottle, they're little tiny bottles, and they each have a different colored cap. So rather than having to stumble over the medical term for each of these concoctions, you can use the color of the cap. And so I was, first of all, Mary told me that she has been taking some eye drops that were prescribed by an eye doctor that we have, an ophthalmologist in Illinois. And so I said, well, okay, since I've got to, organize all of this stuff for you for the surgery that you're about to have on your left eye, why don't you bring those out here? So she did. And there were 3 of them. And then after the surgery, I was handed a chart that shows that there are additional eye drops that they recommend. And then 3 weeks later, she had surgery on her other eye. And here comes another chart with more types of eye drops. I'm just going to read you the instructions they give you when you have this eye surgery. You will use the following drops for the right eye. Anti-inflammatory gray cap, 1 drop 4 times a day for 4 weeks and then stop. Antibiotic tan cap, it could be called, and it's got 5 different medical names. 1 drop 3 times a day for 1 week and then stop. 1 drop for 4 times a day for 2 weeks and then 3 times a day for 1 week and then 2 times a day for 1 week and then 1 time a day and then stop. That's a steroid or pink or white cap. A dilating drop, red, could be called atropine or cyclopentolate. 1 drop 2 times a day for 1 week and then discontinue. And it goes on and on. So I sat down with the chart that I got from the original doctor, and I sat down with that plus the chart that was given to her for her left eye surgery, the chart that was given to her for her right eye surgery, and the list of drops, some left, some right, some both eyes, that was given by the most recent doctor, and I made my own chart. And I swear to God, the picture I sent to Randy is horrifying because it has a whole bunch of eye drop bottles with different colored tops. And then behind it is a plastic box with even more that are waiting in the wings, waiting to be used. And it is a nightmare of eye drop organization. So I just want to say to you that if you are undergoing eye treatment, you're going to need somebody to help you keep track of the eye drops, when they should be taken, how often they should be taken, and they have to be taken 5 minutes apart or more so they have a time to sink in, to do their work. It is incredible how complicated this eye drop situation is for people who are going through this type of eye medical treatment. So that's the short version of what I've been up to lately. And I just want to thank whoever is up there that I took this seriously, because we went for the first surgical follow-up visit from the right eye surgery yesterday. And the people, I think, are used to seeing patients who don't take the eye drops seriously. And I think that I threw them for a loop because I walked in there with my own chart that I had drawn out. And I said, I'm not confident that my results are as you would have them. So I want somebody to look at my chart. And they said, well, we were going to talk to you about eye drops because we were going to stress the importance of it. Well, I'm already, she's got eye drops coming out the yin yang. And they were like shocked that I had actually tried to make sense out of what seemed to be a very confusing regimen of eye drops, colors, when to use this, how often every day to use that. And all of a sudden, I got a little more respect around the doctor's office than I thought I was going to get. So it worked out well in the long run. And plus, I'm getting some kudos at home here, which is a kind of a rare commodity. So I'll take it. My goal here is to restore the vision that is going to be used to curate some more content for this podcast so we can get back to some interesting Medicare information. So that is the story about what I did on my birthday. I spent most of my birthday either in the doctor's office or doling out eye drops and saying, all right, now we have to wait 5 minutes. We got a little 5-minute timer there. And when that thing goes off, that's time for another eye drop. Yeah, Randy, join us for this conversation.
I got a suggestion.
Okay, anything. I'll take any suggestion.
Okay, I would be curious to, I mean, obviously you've got this all worked out already and, kudos to you.
Just barely. Jeez.
But if you took all that information, you know,
Yep.
and just gauged it by the top cover, like
Yeah. Yeah.
pink bottle, red bottle,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
times a day, three times a day, if I no closer than 5 minutes apart, blah, 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 and
Yep.
shove that into an AI product,
Uh-huh.
it could build you a schedule automatically.
Well, where were you when I was just pulling my hair out a few days ago?
Well, I think we need to check it over and just for kicks and giggles, run it through there.
Well, I didn't even think about that, and that's a great idea because I know AI is capable of doing all kinds of wonderful things and all kinds of evil things. I'm going to shed a little or share a little bit about that. But how would I run it through? How would I would have to type in, okay, this drop is this drug and it's this color top. And this drop is required for certain, left
Yeah,
eye only.
type it all in, and then okay, the product that I would suggest. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the product that you would probably use. Have you ever heard of Gemini?
Yes, I have. I
That's
can't
that's
remember
a
where.
that's a Google product,
Okay.
and chances are you've got it already, and you just didn't know it.
Okay.
Uh, but I would suggest, if you get really bored, and I know that's not going to happen, but
No, not lately.
if you wanted to, get that stuff all categorized and have it ability to be changed as time goes forward, I would shove it all into Gemini and let it deal with it.
Okay, I'm going to take your advice and I'm going to take that advice seriously because that is a brilliant idea and that would certainly solve a lot of my confusion. I do have one question for you, and it's a kind of a rhetorical question. Why in the hell didn't the doctor's office do that for me?
They're still using fax machines,
Yeah, they
okay?
really are. They really are. It's frightening how primitive things are.
Yeah.
It's an office full of eye surgeons. These guys know the most cutting edge eye surgical techniques there are. But when it comes to these eye drops, one of my sources was a girl who wrote down handwritten. Here's the name of the drug. Here's the color of the cap. 3 times a day, one eye only. It's incredible how primitive that part of it was.
Well, I have always said that about doctors. They use very, I mean, they're geniuses when it comes to their, when it comes to their trade.
The medical
But
science, yeah.
in terms of running an office, they're absolutely the most backwards people in the world.
And I'm living through that right now. Consequently, I'm going to be spending a little more time with AI than I thought I would, but I'm hoping that it continues to provide benefits because this is a confusing nightmare. I don't want to say nightmare because other people may avoid getting the treatment they need for their eye problems, but it is, oh boy, it is really, you need some help. Get a medication wrangler to help you if you're having eye surgery or any kind of eye problems that require these drops because you want to make sure you're taking the right drops at the right time, blah, blah, blah. But you mentioned AI and the services AI can provide. And I got a series of correspondence. It started out with a wonderful letter. This is every author, no matter what the subject matter is, would love to get a letter like this. And I got this message recently, an email, and it was, Dear Douglas, I've got to hand it to you. Medicare for the Lazy Man. Now he's talking about the 2025 edition here. Medicare for the Lazy Man 2025 might just be the most fun anyone has had thinking about insurance since ever. I mean, a book that promises eternal Medicare happiness and a couple of yucks. Huh, genius. Honestly, I half expected it to come with a punchline before the fine print. And this wonderful letter goes on. And yet, here's the thing. Amazon seems to think your guide belongs in some dusty health and retirement corner, quietly whispering to itself while other boring insurance books hog the spotlight. Not exactly the epic about this masterpiece, or the epic debut this masterpiece deserves. And then he introduces himself. I am Jeffrey, a book review community curator, not a marketing guru, charging more than a used car with a smiley face. I run a small underground club. Now, small underground club of 4,000 plus readers. That doesn't sound that small to me. Who love practical guides, quirky humor, and real life hacks. Basically, the exact audience who would read your book cover to cover and tell their friends. I read your blurb and I thought, oh, these people need this like now. Yesterday. True story. Now, this is a true story. He says it's true, so it's got to be true. I once spent 3 days trying to build my own lazy website for a side project and accidentally deleted it twice. Now I stick to books, readers, and no BS outreach, way safer than navigating Medicare alone. Honestly, I get it. Your inbox must look like a crime scene of copy-pasting pitches, robotic "we can make you famous" emails, and strangers asking for favors. This is not one of those. Here's how I can help you. Connect Medicare for the Lazy Man with readers who want simple, fast, and even entertaining guidance on Medicare. I can help you by encouraging Amazon reviews that highlight both your humor and your... This is a dream come true for an author, and I responded to it. And I got back an equally complimentary response from this Jeffrey K. Dooley. And he asked a simple question, would you like to da-da-da-da-da? And I answered that one. And I finally realized every one of these responses was dripping with compliments. And frankly, my posterior was getting kind of chapped from being kissed by so many wet lips. And I wound up having the same correspondence with Jeffrey K. Dooley that eventually started arriving from Clark Brooks, Brian Alex, John Williams, and a couple of other very, very nondescript names. And my conclusion is they're all written by AI. I've got these people sitting down at computers, taking my book, having AI read my book, or at least be aware of the contents of my book, and then writing me a kiss-ass letter that promises the world. And this is what an author wants to hear. They want more people to read their book. I want more people to read my book because I want more people to hire me as their insurance agent for their transition into Medicare. And this guy is promising the world, and I was so excited until I saw the similarity. This is a new way of scamming people, and it's using AI to lure you into a spider's web of what seems like it's going to be friendly, happy chat. And I'm sure it's going to turn out to be a way for me to send checks off to people that really don't deserve any of my money. So I started ignoring them all, and I started getting letters from these people, these fake people, these AI people, going, gee, is there something more I can offer you? And I would say, yes, you send me money. And that seems to have cut off the correspondence quickly. So that was I didn't know what to do about this stuff, and I found the perfect solution was to ask them for money and refuse to participate until they coughed up some money. So that worked for me. Now, let's get back to Medicare content, shall we? A couple of fairly short things. I have a list of hospital care expenses that came across my desk. It's interesting to note that everybody's worried about what happens if you get hospitalized, but that's covered by Part A of Medicare, and that accounts for something on the order of 13 to 15% of all the Medicare benefits that are paid out. The vast majority of Medicare dollars go to people that are covered under Part B. When they have Part B expenses, those are not expenses that involve hospitalization. Those are outpatient expenses. And so people probably are not being realistic when they are concerned about the hospital cost that they could encounter if they get sick. Medicare is going to cover that in a very benign way, but that's just foundation for the list I discovered showing hospital costs per day in various areas. And this list is runs from $700 in some places, $700 a day, to more than $6,000 a day. And I think it's written from the hospital management point of view. This is what it costs a hospital to provide care for a patient for one day. And in some cases, there are states that have state government hospitals or local government hospitals that have a different cost than nonprofit hospitals which also have a different cost than for-profit hospitals. And I'm just going to take Alabama because it happens to be first on the list. The state and local government hospital cost per day $2,100. Non-profit hospitals are slightly under that at $2,010. And for-profit hospitals, the cost at a for-profit hospital, $1,650. So that's an interesting dichotomy here, because the government hospitals are only slightly more expensive than the nonprofit hospitals are. Nonprofits aren't that big a money-saving operation, as it turns out. Alaska, government hospitals, $1,536. Nonprofit hospitals, over twice that. Almost twice that, $3,100. And then for-profit hospitals in Alaska, $4,542. So the government hospitals are being run very, very efficiently, $1,500 and change. The nonprofit hospitals are almost twice that at $3,100, and the for-profit hospitals are at $4,500 and change. So I found that very, very instructive. Just because Randy and I are both domiciled in Arizona, government hospitals in Arizona per day cost $2,963, almost $3,000 a day. Nonprofit hospitals are even more expensive at $3,600 a day. For-profit hospitals, $2,800 a day. And this goes on and on. I could bore you by reading that same statistic for every state in the union, but I'm not sure we're that concerned about all the other states. The point that I'm making here is that if you are going to be hospitalized, Medicare is going to charge you a one-time deductible that is covered by your Medicare supplement. So if you are subject to that deductible because you have the high deductible plan G that I recommend, that's going to be a one-time only deductible this year of $1,732 for the first day that you're in. And after that, you pay nothing for the next 59 days of hospitalization because Medicare is going to pay for it all. If you're not hospitalized, as most people will be, not thrown into the inpatient category, then you come under Part B expenses. And once again, your Medicare supplement and Medicare will take care of those in stellar fashion. And I promised Randy a quiz. I actually threatened him with a quiz because I like to get back at him whenever I can. But it seems as though I might have just talked my way through a whole episode, and I should instead ask Randy to shoo everybody out of here so that we can go out and play instead of doing another piece of content for the podcast. What do you think?
Well, it's 65 degrees and sunny. We need to go out and play in the yard, man.
Absolutely, and it's headed for 80. My phone tells me it's going to be 80 degrees either today or tomorrow.
Don't tell anybody else that.
No, too late. It's when I used to come here as a second grader or third grader, this place there was nobody out here. It was beautiful. Now it's full of people, and I saw something frightening yesterday. We were coming back from the doctor's office, and Randy will know what I'm talking about here, but we got off the 101, the expressway, onto Scottsdale Road, which used to be, it still has signs that say scenic desert highway.
Yeah.
Nothing scenic or desert anymore. But there's a giant trailer at that interchange that says Arizona Cardinals 2028. And I thought, what the hell's going to happen at this intersection in 2028? And I didn't know this, but that's the location of their new team headquarters and practice fields and facilities.
Oh, really? We'll never be able to get out of there.
I know. We'll be trapped in traffic forever.
I know. If we just hadn't let the word out that it's such a great place to live, we wouldn't have this problem.
I feel personally responsible for that because when I was a kid, I used to go back to Illinois and tell all the other kids. And I remember the most beautiful girl in the 8th grade was Ann Caldwell. And she had a crush on another guy who probably had a stellar military career. But one day, after I had returned from a 10-day stint in Arizona with a great suntan, she looked at me and she said, "My God, you look fantastic." And I thought, I didn't know that was the only time I was going to ever hear words like that out of the mouth of a magnificent hot babe. And I was just in eighth grade. I thought, boy, my whole life is going to be great if I just go out to Arizona more often.
So, well, then the rest of the story, as I've heard it, was that he spent the rest of his life in the sun, and
Yes.
that was the last time he heard that.
That was the last time I heard that, but I did get a lot of compliments from my my dermatologist as he was hacking skin cancer off of me.
His dermatologist has a map of him, like a map of the galaxy.
He's also got a fully funded retirement plan and highly educated children.
Oh dear. Well, you know something? I need to kick us out of here because we are out of time. But grab your pen, people. This is some really important stuff here. DBJ at mlmmailbag.com. That's the email address that you can use to reach out to Doug with a question or a comment. DBJ at mlmmailbag.com. Don't forget, Doug is licensed in every state of the union to help you with your Medicare supplement planning. MedicareForTheLazyMan.com. That's where it's all at. Check it out. The website is evolving quite often, and I think we're doing some cool stuff, and I think you'll like it too. Would appreciate it if drop a review for us in your wild wanderings through the internet. We're still trying to keep ahead of the travel logs. That's an odd thing to say, but that's who our competition is the travel log people. Last but certainly not least, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Every one of you could have been doing many other things with many other people, and you weren't. You had us on your radio. No, probably your PC, really.
Yeah,
but,
no.
Yeah, radio. Yeah, no, it's not radio, people. We have a podcast. We're modern.
Yes.
So anyway, thanks for joining us. You could have been anywhere else and you weren't. You have just spent, oh gosh, about 32 and a half minutes with Doug Jones, the anti-insurance guy, originally from Oklahoma. No more. He's up in the high ground behind Cave Creek, Arizona, in the Nosebleed Mountains, and someday we'll tell you the whole story about our relationship with the Nosebleed Mountains, the home of the Nosebleed Indians.
Yeah,
so
someday.
For today,
Someday.
I'm gonna turn it back over to Doug because he's so excited to tell you about his private pilot's license, and it's certified. You have to get certified on your license and your training with a particular model of a plane. It's hard to get a stamp for a SPAD, but he's got it. He's got it.
I'll tell you, the certification had to take a backseat to my medicine wrangling for the content curator. Those little bottles of eye drops don't refill themselves. They don't organize themselves. It requires some brain power to do it, and my brain power is barely adequate to take care of that. So I don't have anything else to report today, so I'm going to let everybody go. But come on back for our next episode. I think you'll probably enjoy it. At least I hope you will. And we'll look forward to seeing your smiling faces for our next get-together. Bye-bye.